So, welcome to the Junior Giraffe Club, everyone. I'm your host, Leslie Zimick, and I work for the Anna Nestag Foundation. Today, we have a special guest speaker from the Niabi Zoo that's going to be joining us. But first, we're going to talk to Junior Giraffe Club member Lily. When Lily was asked to write a biography for school, she chose to write about Dr. Anna Nestag. Lily, thank you for joining us today. Can you tell us more about your project?
Hi, my name is Lily, and I've been a member of the club for a couple of months now, and I've always loved giraffes. For school, I had to do a book report about a biography. I did mine on Dr. Anna Nestag. I wrote down 15 facts. 5 of my favorite facts were when Anne was 12, she was in the hospital with scarlet fever. She received 3 stuffed giraffes from her mom. Another one is Anne made a solo trip to South Africa in 1956. This trip made her the first Western person to study animal behavior. One more is there was a movie about Dr. Anne, and it was called The Woman Who Loves Giraffes. The next fact is she went to South Africa and stayed at Fleur de Lis Branch to study more than 100 giraffes roaming free. One last fact is Anne married Ian Ralph Dagg in 1957 and had 3 kids.
Oh, look at that. Fantastic. Look at all that hard work. Wow. It looks like you've got a lot of facts there.
15.
There's over 12, what is there, 12, 14 facts there? There's a lot.
15 facts.
15 facts.
And that's me with the giraffe.
So, do you know what the name of that giraffe is? And if not, that's okay. What zoo were you at when you saw that giraffe?
Zoo.
Sorry?
The St. Louis Zoo.
Ah. And was that the first time you'd been there, or have you been there before?
I've been there before.
Yeah. And how long have you loved giraffes?
Probably since the first time I went to the zoo.
Ah, very nice. Well, we're very happy that you reached out to us and let us know about your project, and welcome to the club because you're a new member.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lily. You did a great job. Our special guest speaker this month is Kristina Whitney Stump, primary hoofstock giraffe keeper at Niabi Zoo. Growing up on a hog and cattle farm with a variety of animals, she developed a love for hoofstock from an early age. She initially fostered the idea of becoming a farm vet, but decided it was not the right career path. While earning a biology degree from Augustana College, she began volunteering at Niabi Zoo in Coal Valley, Illinois, and discovered zookeeping was a much better fit. Following an internship at Omaha's Henry Doorly Zoo, she accepted a full-time zookeeper position at Niabi Zoo and became the primary hoofstock keeper a few years later. In this role, she's responsible for both the physical and mental well-being of giraffe under her care. She currently lives in Davenport, Iowa, with her husband, 2 daughters, a cat, and a puppy. Hello, Kristina. Thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome. Let me share my screen here.
Great.
1 second. You guys see that?
It's coming through, but I don't see it yet.
Maybe.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay, perfect.
That's great.
So, as Leslie said, my name is Kristina, and I work at the Niabi Zoo in Coal Valley, Illinois. If you don't know where that is, here's a map. So the state of Illinois is highlighted here, and I don't know if you can see my mouse, but Coal Valley is right here in this little pointy part over here. And then I live over in Iowa, right across the Mississippi. So we're right on the Mississippi River. but in Illinois. So the zoo itself is about 40 acres, and then we're surrounded by forest preserve, which is really cool because a lot of zoos don't have that. So we have, forest all around, so we can get a lot of tree branches and all sorts of things from there. So we are home to about 600 animals and that's in like 200 species or so. But of course, one of my favorites is giraffes. So if you think about wild giraffes, what do? Well, they spend a lot of time eating, right? Like 3/4 of the day. They have to avoid predators. They interact with other giraffes, and they travel around a lot to do that, right? But then if you think about a zoo giraffe, what do? Well, they probably don't need to search for food very much because part of my job is to provide food for them, right? They don't need to avoid predators because we're not going to let, the lions in with the giraffes usually, ever. And they don't really need to travel long distances to find food or other giraffes. So the big question is, how do we keep zoo giraffe from getting bored? The answer to that is kind of a big phrase called environmental enrichment. So there's a lot of words right here, and it's the definition of that, but the main point is kind of the highlighted part there that says environmental enrichment is how we change the environment that the giraffe is in. And the goal of that is to increase the choices that the animal has and to kind of encourage them to do more natural behaviors that wild giraffe would do. So here I have listed out in a lot of words again that I won't read all of, the goals of enrichment. But basically, the goal of enrichment is to increase behaviors that giraffes normally would, decrease behaviors that they wouldn't really do. And then down at the bottom, the very last point is kind of the take-home message. My goal, or our goal in environmental enrichment, is to challenge the animals with creativity, choice, and complexity in their daily lives and habitats. So there's a few different types of enrichment, and it could be like habitat enrichment, device enrichment, which could be like toys, or it could just be more natural things like different substrates to walk in, or branches to chew on, or different things like that. Different food enrichment, like different types of food or different ways it's presented, different social situations, like different individuals to be around or different combinations, training, so different things like that. And then the one we're going to talk about today is sensory enrichment. And keep in mind that all of these, they're not really cut and dry, like a lot of them overlap. So a specific thing can fall into like multiple categories. So just like with people, giraffes have 5 main senses, right? If you think about you can see, you can hear, you can touch, you can taste, you can smell, right? So giraffes can do the same things, kind of in different ways, but the sensory enrichment is designed to address all these different senses and to bring out natural responses to them. So I was going to go through each of these kind of, and then I have different examples of them just from the giraffes that I work with. So the first one is visual or sight enrichment, and it could be different colors, things that move in the wind or the water like wind chimes, different animals they can see. Sometimes, like if you look at this picture here, over to the right-hand side, we have our Aldabra tortoise habitat. So when it's warm enough for them to come out, they will come out, and the giraffes always kind of stare at them like, what is that moving rock doing there? But after a day or so, they kind of figure out, oh, that's just that tortoise again. For some animals, it could be video presentations or mirrors. In this particular picture here, this is our bull giraffe, Kenya. And over here on the side of this building, you can see this big colorful butterfly, right? And that was something that one of our employees painted on there, like over the course of a couple days. And it's a photo opportunity. So if you're a visitor, you can go up and stand in the center and then have your beautiful butterfly wings behind you. But this is one of the first times that Kenya saw it really completed. And you can tell that he is like, what is going on over there? And so after he stared at it for a little bit, he kind of figured, okay, I don't think that's dangerous, and just went on about his day. But it's something different for him to look at. So here I have 2 videos, and it's the same enrichment, item, which is a bubble machine, but one is inside his barn and one is outside. And he kind of has different responses, which I think is interesting. So the first one I'm going to let play. It's inside the barn. And if you look at him, kind of look and see how relaxed he is. He's chewing cud. He's kind of just watching. And then he kind of goes away because he's like, okay, well, there's bubbles. That's fine. The next video I have is outside in the yard, and it's a different bubble machine, but it's the same thing basically. But you can hear it makes more noise. And if you're, hopefully you can hear in the background, there's some construction equipment going because we've had a lot of construction at our zoo lately. So there's all sorts of stuff going on around him. So he's much more aware. And if you can see his body position, he's very alert and a little more suspicious about it. So it's the same enrichment, but in a different situation. Animals can have different responses, which is kind of interesting. So then we're going to move on to auditory enrichment, which is like what stuff you hear. So it could be nature sounds, wind chimes, music. This picture that I have here is kind of interesting because we have a local organization called Common Chord that it's a group of local musicians, and they do a lot with bringing music into schools and providing instruments to kids that might not otherwise have them and things like that. But anyway, they were interested in seeing how human music comes across to animals. So they worked with the zoo, and these two musicians here came and played music for our white rhino, our red river hogs, our colobus monkeys, and the giraffe. And then they looked at like the different responses they had. The rhino was like kind of interested and came over and was pretty curious, but then, rhinos can't see very well. So once he got up close and saw them and whatever, he was like, oh, okay, that's fine. And he just went on about his day. The colobus monkeys totally ignored them. The red river hogs were pretty interested, and they stayed pretty close most of the time, but also they really enjoy interactions with people a lot. So it could have just been like, oh, there's people there to be interested in. But here we have the picture of them playing for the giraffe. And the giraffe really didn't like it very much, which we thought was interesting. So at first he kind of stayed here in the back like this. You can tell again, he's kind of very tall. It's hard to see in the picture, but his ears are kind of forward. He's focused on them. And eventually he came over a little closer, but was clearly not very happy about it. So we decided, okay, we're done with that. He doesn't like that. So it's kind of interesting, music we might think is beautiful, animals might not think is beautiful. But again, it's just a different thing to add to their exhibit to let them experience different things. So here we have a video inside the barn of two of our giraffes shortly after we had brought two parrots to live in the barn. Also, they weren't in with the giraffes. They were just in a different exhibit over there, but they're cockatoos, so they're very loud. And I'm not sure the giraffes really appreciated them at first. So watch the giraffe's reaction. So in that video, you could see Twigga, the smaller female in the front, like her ears moved around a lot. She swished her tail. They were both very focused on where that noise was coming from. And when I took that video, I was trying to shift them around, and they had no intention of moving from where they were until they figured out what that bird was doing. So again, it's just something else to listen to. And eventually they got used to it, and then they just knew, oh, that's that bird again. So the next one we will talk about is gustatory, which is a fancy word meaning things you taste. So for the giraffes, it could be food items, flavored sprays, or like beverages, like we use Crystal Light powder sometimes that we can either use as powder or mix up or things like that. So here we have a video of Kenya, our bull, with a a pumpkin this past fall. And I think there's some cinnamon on it too, so he's kind of smelling it. So that pumpkin isn't a normal part of his diet. He doesn't get that every day, but it's just kind of a special, different thing that he could get to investigate. And what we found with the pumpkins is that we have to open the pumpkin up for the giraffes. None of the giraffes I've worked with have ever figured out how, if it's on the ground, to open it up by themselves when all they really have to do is step on it because they're real big. But they've never figured that out. A different type of taste enrichment we do. Oh, I forgot about this slide. Sorry. Everybody knows giraffes have long tongues, right? Well, here's a nice example of Twigga with her tongue. But they use that tongue to get leaves off trees. So earlier I said that giraffes in the wild spend about 75% of their day eating. So in captivity, they don't spend as long eating because we provide it more. So we want to make it a little harder. We want to make them really work that tongue a lot because that is a very natural behavior for giraffes. So a lot of our enrichment is focused on, making them work a little harder with their tongue to get to their food. So here is a food kebab, which we do occasionally. So if you think of a giraffe in the wild, they're going around eating leaves kind of selectively on different parts of the plant. So this is kind of encouraging her, although these aren't leaves or acacia, she is going around getting very specific parts of that enrichment device that she wants. And then just another thing we have, these are just slow feeders that you could buy for your dog at like Petco or somewhere. And we can put different things on them. But again, we're encouraging her to use her tongue and kind of like work in those grooves and get different things. Yeah.
What do giraffes only just eat the leaves and stuff?
Mainly, yes. Out in the wild, a very huge portion of their diet is leaves. They might occasionally eat some flowers or bark or twigs, but most of it is going to be leaves. So in a zoo, their diet is a little bit different. They get a dry pelleted diet, kind of like similar to like a dog food is made for dogs, like dry dog food. This is made more for giraffes. So they get that, but then they also, a little bit later in the video, you'll see some of the big tree branches we give them. And I always say that those are part diet and part enrichment because you'll see what they do with them also.
I have a question.
Sure.
Everything else, it doesn't really really opens like
Make a sound.
Sorry, who had the question?
I have a question.
What's your question?
Why? So, do giraffes just use their tongue to eat?
For the most part. Do you think they have hands they can use?
No.
Nope, they don't have hands. They have lips. Their lips are prehensile. That means that they can kind of like grab onto things more than our lips can. But for the vast majority, they're just using that tongue to like get individual little leaves or a bunch of leaves at once. So that's why we want to use the enrichment to bring out their tongue behavior.
But why are giraffes' tongues like purple, but our tongues are pink?
Well, let's think about what giraffes eat. They eat leaves, right? And they're spending a lot of their day eating leaves, right? So do you think their tongue is outside of their mouth a lot in that? Probably. So if you live in Africa and you have your tongue sticking out a lot, do you think the sun is going to shine on it a lot?
Yeah.
Yep. And then especially for someone like me that has light skin, if I'm going to be out in the sun a lot, I for sure want to put sunscreen on, right? Because I'm going to get sunburned. A lot of people will get sunburned if they're out in the sun too long, and it can just be bad for your skin no matter what, like how dark your skin is. So if you think about the giraffes, they're not going to put sunscreen on their tongue, right? Nope.
No.
It comes built in. That dark color reflects the sun, the sunshine more than the light color will. So if a giraffe sticks out its tongue far enough, you can tell the first like half of it or so is dark, and then the back half is pink because that part doesn't really come out in the sun as much.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to answer your question. All right, I'm going to move on to the next sense enrichment. It's smell. And so this kind of goes along with taste a lot because your sense of smell and taste run together quite a lot. But the different smells could be natural scents, such as predators or pheromones. Pheromones mean just different smells that animals give off that give other animals information about them, like if you're a girl or a boy, or kind of where you've come from, different things like that. Or they could be novel scents, such as spices, like we have in the shoe rack here, perfumes, or extracts. So the extracts, really, and the spices, mainly just come from like the baking aisle in the grocery store. And we have a whole list of them that we can use. Most of them we can use. There are a few that we can't use for specific animals, such as horseradish. We don't use for any hoofstock animals because it could be toxic or like bad for them. But for all the extracts, we'll dilute them in the little spray bottles in that little picture over there. And then we can spray it on different things to smell. So this first video I have it's a video of Kenya, our bull, and this actually was not intended to be enriching, but it was just kind of a happy coincidence. Our maintenance guys this day had gone out in the yard with this skid steer, like a little machine, and moved a bunch of logs around and put new ones in. And so they had tracked some dirt onto the cement area, and Kenya apparently thought it smelled very good. So he just wanted to smell it and rub his face on it. I don't really know what it smelled like, but he thought it was quite interesting and he wanted to check it out on a few occasions. And then this next video, again, isn't really a, oh, I forgot about this one too. Yep, we'll have a video in a second. Here are just two pictures of the giraffes smelling different things, but you can see that these are kind of visual enrichment too, because they are painted for different holidays. One I think is Halloween, and one looks like a little birthday party we had for Twigga. So here, watch what Kenya's mouth, like his lips do. He smells the water. It's kind of hard to see. You see how his lips curl up?
No.
Okay, watch it again. He's going to smell the water and then bring his head up and his lips kind of like curl up. I can't do it. But this is called a flame-in response. I'll play the video again in just a second. So he's really just smelling the water. It wasn't actually intended to be anything enriching, but a lot of animals have this type of response, the flame-in response. Big cats can do it, all sorts of stock animals. And when they're doing that, their body is kind of analyzing the smells that they've smelled just right before that. Right there, his lips curl up a little bit. He makes a face.
They do. I have a question.
Sure, what's your question?
Can giraffes smell better than humans?
I don't know if they can smell better than humans. I think both of us have a pretty good sense of smell. But if you look at, say, a dog has a way better sense of smell than we do.
Yeah, humans and giraffes.
Yep. All right, and then our last one, I believe, is tactile or touch enrichment. And that would we can use items of different textures that the animal can kind of manipulate. So it could be things made out of cardboard or wood or plastic or substrates, like things that are on the ground, such as sand or straw or mulch. So here in this picture of Kenya, you can see there's on the wall over here, there's 2 bunches of like old browse. There's not really many leaves left on that, but we hang those on the wall sometimes for him to scratch on. What I've noticed just of the giraffes that I've worked with, the females that I've worked with really have shown little interest in rubbing their bodies on things on the wall. But Kenya, who is really the only adult male giraffe that I've worked with, he's very interested in that. So I'm not sure if it's a bull giraffe thing or just a him thing. But also we have ropes up in the barn that hang from the ceiling. And so this grapevine that's wrapped around him was a really long piece that we found and hung up. And then although he will eat it as part of his diet, as I said earlier, sometimes I do consider browse enrichment too, because you can see he has it wrapped, like he's very deliberately wrapping that around his body, and he'll just stand there and like kind of rub it in and let it feel so good, sometimes for hours. So here's a video. I call him, in this video, this is what I call his browse dance. So he, again, has another really long piece of browse.
I got a picture of everybody so I can see myself.
Nice.
He's dancing in leaves.
Yup. I just think he thinks that feels so good, and he'll come back and eat all those leaves, but usually with big pieces like that, first he wants to rub all over them.
I have a question, another question.
Sure, what's your question?
Do giraffes like living at the zoo?
Well, that's all he's ever known. He was born at the San Francisco Zoo. So, and all the giraffes I've worked with were born in other zoos. So that's all they've grown up with. So if we were to take them just back to Africa and say, hey, this is where the textbook says you should live, and just throw them out there, they might not have any idea what to do. And they might be kind of scared of it. So I would say that these guys are well taken care of and probably happier than they would be if I just like flew him to Africa and dumped him out.
Do giraffes touch with their hooves or their feet, or do they touch with their tongue?
Both. I have a video coming up, not this one, but the next one, where you'll see that Kenya is doing a lot with his feet, and I'll kind of talk about that there also.
Okay.
It looks like Lydia had raised her hand.
Oh, yeah.
I like textures and touching things, like the giraffes. Also, this is lovely.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice. Giraffes like touching things too. All right, so this video is one of Kenya's favorite enrichment devices. We call it the corrugated pipe mobile. And this was actually the first time we had made it. And then whenever we would put it up, he would just stare at it. And it took him probably 3 months to go over to it to investigate. But once he did, he realized that he loves it. So this is one of the first times that he touched it, but it's these 2 really long pipes that are like flexible. So he will stand there and rub in them and let them kind of fall over his back. And I think it probably just feels good. Here he's kind of just messing with the top, but then he realized that the bottom part is more exciting. So again, that's just another thing for him to like touch his body where like maybe he doesn't have a lot to rub on, so he likes that. So this next video is him doing one of his favorite activities in kicking something. We have a few different types of, oh, yes?
So giraffes like to play with stuff?
They like to interact with things, yeah. I think individuals kind of pick out different things that they really like. I can tell you that our most recent female that we had, Twigga, I've seen her sniff a ball, but I've never ever seen her put her foot up on the ball like he's doing right now. He had his foot like all the way up on the ball, curled over, which is a great position during a training session if I'm trying to look at his feet and do hoof work. So even using this ball is kind of like encouraging him to be in that position that I want him to be in for training. And so he has different things that he'll kick around, but I have noticed that he really likes anything he can put his feet up on. And again, I'm not really sure why that is, if it's just an individual preference or not, but he likes touching things with his feet. And I know that elephants will explore things with their feet too, and they can hear really low frequencies through their feet. And there has been some research showing that giraffes kind of communicate that way too, like through really low frequencies that we can't hear. So I don't know if him liking to touch things has to do with that at all, but it's kind of interesting.
What does texture mean?
It means the way something feels. So if you have a really soft blanket, that could be like a soft texture, or if you think of like sandpaper, that's a really rough texture, or it could be hard, different things like that. And the one other thing I wanted to say about when I use like the spices and the extracts and the different smells on foods, that's good for him, but I also find that beneficial as a zookeeper because then I'm exposing him to different smells and things. So he might be used to that. And then if I need to give him a medication that might smell a little funny, hopefully he's like, oh, that's just a different smell. And I'm not used to, or I am used to things that, smell different than my food normally smells. So that's one of the goals too, just to help us take better care of him.
When did an elephant, if they kicked a ball and they put their foot on top of the ball and push down, wouldn't the elephant just crush the ball?
Well, we have to make sure the balls are strong enough so they can't do that. So that ball that I had the video of is a really hard ball, and it's made to not be squished.
Like as hard as a rock?
Pretty much. But I can tell you if I gave that ball to our rhino, it would get smushed because it's not strong enough for a rhino. But then we do have some other balls for him they're made to be more bouncy. They're like horse enrichment balls that are real big. They're like 3 feet across. Wow. And they're inflatable. So probably his favorite ball is like this one that looks like a soccer ball, only it's real big. It's like 2.5 feet across. And he'll just kick it all across the yard. But also it can blow in the wind because it's so light. So that's kind of fun too. It's just different things that are pretty similar.
Is the ball made for giraffes?
It's not made specifically for giraffes, but it does come from a company that makes zoo animal enrichment. So there's different levels of like, if you need something for a rhino, it's going to need to be a lot stronger than it would need to be for a llama, say, right? So they make them different sizes and strengths. And then you could even get stuff like little tiny balls for like a meerkat or something. And those clearly would not be nearly as strong as the rhino ball.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So this slide here, I wanted to show you, we have an employee that her whole job is to organize our enrichment for the entire zoo because every animal or animal group in the zoo has a calendar like this for every month out of the year. So you could look at that and say, okay, today is the 18th. And if I look over here, I see that the giraffe should get straw, nature sounds, pot and pan mobile, ice treats, and honey. And so those are the types of enrichment he's going to get today. Each of these, well, for him specifically, we have the things divided up. And so he gets 1 thing out of a sense category, 2 out of a touch category, and 2 out of the food or presentation categories per day.
Do you have a toucan in your zoo?
We do not. We did several years ago, but now we don't. They are pretty cool though.
Yeah. What other animals do you have in your zoo other than giraffes?
Oh gosh, we have like 200 species, so it varies. Wow. We have some big cats. We have the giraffe, the rhino, camels. We have a bunch of goats. We have different types of reptiles and birds. So it's a wide variety.
I have a funny fact.
You do? What is it?
It
It's my dad's birthday today.
Whoa, happy birthday, Dad.
That's nice. So we're
He's
gonna let
not at
Christine.
my house.
We're gonna let Christina finish her presentation now, okay? And then if
Okay,
we
we're
have
almost
any more
done.
questions, we'll save them for the end.
All right, so just to summarize, the goal of enrichment for giraffes or any animal
The
is
heart.
to bring choice, change, and complexity, which means how do you describe that? Like how hard it is to figure something out. So we want to bring that to their environment so they're not just sitting in the same environment that's the same exact same old every day. So now, does anybody else have any questions?
So we had a couple questions in the chat here.
Okay.
Someone had asked, actually, I think this is Mary Day. How do you come up with different ideas for enrichment?
That's a good question. We sometimes we use other zoos, like their lists, or like networking when I go to, different conferences with giraffe keepers. I just went to the giraffe care workshop at Cheyenne Mountain recently, and one of my big questions was, okay, any feeding device that I hang kind of like free hang on the ropes in our stalls for Kenya. If I put food in it, he just thinks that he needs to spar with it and he knocks it around, and it's great enrichment, but that means his food goes flying everywhere. So it's not really beneficial as a feeding device. So I'm always looking for like feeding devices that hook on to the wall where he can't dump them, but also that isn't just a bowl, because our goal at the zoo is to not feed animals in bowls as much as possible. We want to make it a little harder for them to get that out. So I got some pictures there of like different feeders that you could shove pieces of browse or like leaves and branches in and stuff like that. And some of it's just, some is social media just from other zoos, and some is just someone has a great idea. And then you're like, oh yeah, we could probably make that. Or different companies, like I mentioned, the like Auto Environmental has different things that are kind of made for giraffes specifically, or things like that.
How high can giraffes go?
How high can giraffes go? A really tall giraffe could be probably 18, maybe 19 feet tall. But then if they tilt their head up and stick their tongue out, that can add a little bit of height too. So over 20 feet probably. So that's pretty tall.
Why do they need to be so tall?
Well, that's a great question, and people have looked into that. The benefits to that are that they can reach a lot of leaves that most other animals can't. Elephants can reach pretty high, but not always up as high as all the giraffes can reach. Also, you can see really far as a giraffe, so you can see out across the landscape and see if there's any predators coming. So a lot of times other animals like to hang out with giraffes because the giraffe is going to know if there's a lion coming way before that short little, antelope is going to know. So there's different reasons. Nobody knows for sure, as far as I know, what the actual reason is.
Lydia has a question.
Yes, Lydia.
It's not a question, but about the eating. I saw this video of a giraffe. So it was eating some food and it swallowed the food, but then it just made the food go right back up and then just started chewing it.
Yeah, they're ruminants, so that's what they do. Like cows, they can eat a bunch of food and then later they'll bring it back up, and that's called chewing their cud, and then it goes down and then gets digested more.
Do you have any red kangaroos in your zoo?
We do not have any kangaroos. We had wallabies for a long time, but we don't have those anymore. But they're pretty cool.
You have a red kangaroo?
Nope. No red kangaroos. No kangaroos at all.
I saw a baby giraffe being born once. I got it posted on a video.
Yeah. It's crazy. It falls a long way.
In the picture, it says happy 16th birthday. Is the giraffe 16?
Yep. Well, he was in that picture. Now he's 18. He'll be 19 in May.
That's our birthday. Wait,
Oh, yeah?
what's the date of his birthday?
May 18th.
That's close to ours. It's only 2 days after our birthday.
Your birthday's the 16th?
Yeah.
Mine's May 17th. That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys, unless you have any other questions.
No.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Kristina. That was fantastic.
You're welcome.
One question I missed near the beginning. This is for Lily. If Lily's able to, let's see if Lily's still here. Lily, if you're able to answer, there was a question from Mary Dag when you were presenting that says, what is your favorite fact from the ones that you learned about Anne?
I like the one where she made the solo trip to South Africa.
Nice. Yep, that's a pretty great fact. Thanks, Lily. So now we've got Junior Giraffe Club member and volunteer Mariana created a fun and informative game for us called the Giraffe Adaptation Challenge. Unfortunately, she wasn't able to join us live today, but she provided us with the video. So I'm going to play it now. There's 2 videos, about 7 minutes in total. So I'm going to share my screen. Oh. And sorry, just bear with me for a moment. Here we go. All right. I'll make this big. And can we see this now? The Giraffe Adaptation Challenge and the nice big green tree.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. And Marianne is in this little circle here.
Everyone, I'm Mariana, and I'm a Junior Giraffe Club member, and I'm so excited because today I'm going to show you a super fun game called the Giraffe Adaptation Challenge. I hope you enjoy it. Okay, so let's begin. I'll give you a quick overview of what this game is about, as well as the object. So I will be giving you different scenarios, and you get to pick one, and you have to draw the best giraffe for that scenario, based on different features that you can add on and change on your giraffe. So feel free to make it personal and fun. So the object of the game, so based on your scenario, the object of the game is to design the ultimate giraffe that can survive and thrive in its unique environment. You'll need to get creative and think about what your giraffe needs, like a longer neck or special feet, to find food, stay safe, and outsmart predators. It's all about making the best giraffe for your habitat. Okay, so here are the quick rules of the game. So we're going to start by choosing a number between 1 and 4. That'll be on the next slide. It'll come up. Then you're going to read the scenario description to understand your giraffe's environment. So depending on the number you pick, you will have a different scenario with a completely different environment and features. Then you're going to think about the adaptations your giraffe needs to survive and draw your design on paper. I will also have hints when I give you the description, just to give you some ideas on what you can add to your giraffe to make it better for your environment. And finally, you're going to share your drawing with the rest of the club. Okay, let's get started. So quick, pick a number from 1 to 4. Feel free to pause the video while you choose your number. Okay, now that you have your number in your head, keep that number in mind and remember it, because I'm going to show you the scenarios now. If you picked scenario number 1, you are in the acacia savanna. So this is a warm and dry place with some rainy months. Tall acacia trees are the main food source, but food is scarce in the dry season, meaning there's not a lot of food for all the animals that live there. So you got to watch out for predators like lions, leopards, and hyenas, and you have to compete with zebras and elephants for food. Just as some hints to get your ideas flowing, you can draw this specific giraffe with maybe an extra long neck to reach those tall acacia trees. You could also make your giraffe sort of a sandy colored coat with dark spots, and that way that'll help you with camouflage and blend in with the dry savanna. You could also make your giraffe with smaller hooves, and that way it'll make it easier to move quietly on dry, cracked soil. if you picked number 2, you are the river valley. So this means there's mild weather with steady rainfall and lots of vegetation because of the rainfall, right? Be cautious of crocodiles near the water and lions in the area. Flooding during heavy rains is a challenge for the giraffes. As some hints, you can make your giraffe with a shorter neck maybe and a wider mouth to eat the shrubs and low-hanging branches. Since there's an abundance of food, the long neck isn't really necessary. You could also make your giraffe with a waterproof coat, and this will protect it during heavy rains, and even with an extra long tail. And that way you can whip away the crocodiles with your extra long tail or any other unwanted predators. Okay, if you picked scenario number 3, you are the dry woodland. So this is a warm climate with dense tree canopies. Food is abundant, but it's harder to reach since it's so high up. You got to be careful over here since leopards may hide in the trees, so stay alert. As for hints, you can make this one a shorter body and neck, maybe a little stockier, and this is to walk easily through the dense plants. Maybe you'll have like a forest camouflage color, maybe lots of small brown spots to blend in better, maybe like a greenish, brownish hue to the giraffe. You could also have sharper ears and bigger eyes to help you spot predators that are hiding in the trees.
Okay, so we've got one more video to go. And this can either be done, if you've got pencils and paper, you can start on it now if you want, but also this is something that you can work on after our meeting is done too, and then send us your drawings because we'd love to see them. So now I'm going to share the other video. Okay. Okay. Hang on a sec. I lost my window.
Something where it's your computer.
I finished making my giraffe.
Oh, Aiden, you're so quick.
I made a giraffe with muscles to beat up the crocodiles and lions.
So hold it up so we can see it a little bit bigger.
It has strong muscles to beat up the lions and crocodiles.
Yes. Nice.
Love it.
Great. Okay, so now I'm ready. I'm gonna share the next video with you guys.
It's a giraffe with muscles.
Number 4. This the number 4 video?
Here we go. You got it.
You are the open grassland. If you picked scenario number 4, you are the open grassland. So this is this scenario will have long and dry periods with short rainy seasons, creating temporary water holes. Food is scarce, and predators like lions and cheetahs and hyenas as well are active near water holes. So as some hints, you can think of maybe drawing a giraffe with long and lean legs for covering those long distances between the food and the water sources quickly. You can draw your giraffe maybe a dusty gray color or the coat to blend with the dry grass and stay hidden from the predators. Also, wide hooves can help you a lot for this, for steady footing on the uneven and dry earth. Okay, so here is one more time, all 4 of the scenarios, and you can see them all together easier this way. So feel free to pause the video here or back it up if you wanted to see the hints again. And yes, so just pause the video and take a moment to draw your giraffe. And when you're ready, unpause it and I'll show you mine. Okay, welcome back. I hope you had a second to draw your giraffe and share it with everyone. So I'm just going to make my video a little bigger so you can see me better. And I'll show you my giraffe. So I named her Mabel, and I picked scenario number 3, which was the dry woodland. So I'll give you a second to look at her. There you go. So she has, I made her kind of short and stubby, so she can walk easier through dense plants. And you can see a better picture over here. I made her with a lot of really small spots, and they kind of look like leaves to help her camouflage and stay away from those predators so they can't find her. You can also see she has really big eyes, so she can see those predators, and really large ears, large and pointy ears, to help her listen and give her an advantage over the other giraffes that have maybe smaller ears. She also has a little bit of a shorter neck. She's a little stubbier, like I said. And yeah, the shorter legs as well. So let me know if you like this activity. And if you haven't yet, I'll give you a second to share your drawings. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. I hope you enjoyed this game. If you picked scenario number 4.
Oh, sorry about that.
Good drawing.
Pause that for a second. Okay. So thank you very much, Mariana. That was a really cool game. And I can make sure to send everyone the links to the videos so that if you want to play them again and hear the different examples of areas that your giraffe could be, and then you can choose one and do your drawing, I'll make sure to do that. Unless anybody has a drawing that they'd like to share now. But I know it's only been a few minutes, so. But Aiden, I love that muscle giraffe. Whenever I see a video where there's a lion that wants to chase a giraffe, I kind of think of giraffes that way, as having big muscles, because they stand real strong, they hold their ground, they're patient, and if they need to, pow, they could kick a lion and hurt it really good, make it run away.
But this giraffe is a good boxer. Boom, 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 boom.
It's like a super giraffe.
Fun fact about giraffes, if they kick a lion, they could break its neck.
They are pretty strong, those kicks, aren't they? Yeah, thanks, Lydia. That's a great one. So just a reminder that if ever you're doing a project on giraffes, we have a very extensive giraffe facts section. It's on the Ann Innes Dagg Foundation's website, and there's lots and lots of facts there and lots of pictures. And then also we post Professor Fred videos that talk about different giraffe facts. It's on our YouTube channel. And so I'm going to put that link in the chat for you here. Someone had asked in our last get together if we were on kids YouTube. So then we took a look into that, and we weren't able to, we can't put ourselves on kids YouTube, unfortunately. So you have to get it here. So I'm going to put it in the chat here. So there's that. And the interesting thing is when you were asking about giraffe tongues, there's a video from Professor Fred that's all about giraffe tongues. And then also, because we record our videos, there was a guest speaker that we had, Monica Bond, who was talking about her giraffe research about giraffe necks.
I have a question.
Oh, yeah, Aiden, give us your question.
Do we like use the YouTube on TV or a different YouTube?
Well, your mom or dad can help set you up with YouTube. And it just depends, you know, if you've got a computer or an iPad, or your parents can put it up on the TV for you. You've got lots of choices.
Oh, I like the YouTube on TV.
Yeah, you like it best that way?
Yeah.
Yeah, then you can see it nice and
Dad
big.
just watched soccer and then our team lost.
Yeah. Well, you check out Professor Fred, see what you think. Okay? Okay. So our next meeting is going to be on Saturday, February 15th. So that'll be just after Valentine's Day. Our guest speaker will be Jessica Grandweiler, and she is from the University of Manchester. She and her research team have been studying giraffes to determine if they prefer flat areas and which slopes are too steep for them. Thank you again to our guest speakers, Lily, Kristina, and Mariana. And we're going to do before we go, we're going to do our official Junior Giraffe Club sign off. So this is one of Anne's very favorite sayings for those who are new to the group. So I'm going to count us down, and then we're going to say long live giraffes, okay?
One thing.
So, okay, Aiden.
My dad doesn't like the Manchester United or Manchester City.
Oh, you guys are pretty serious about your soccer. I hear Mary Dagg laughing there.
Yeah, I'm giggling at that one too.
Okay. Oh, so Mary, since we can hear you and the connection is good, do you
Okay.
want to do the sign off then?
Sure.
Great.
So if everybody's ready, I'm going to count down 3, 2, 1, and then we're all going to say, "Long live giraffes." Okay, so let's get ready. 3, 2, 1. Long live giraffes! Woohoo!
Yay!
Great
Now
meeting,
it's
everybody.
This is my giraffe.
Thanks everyone for coming.
Oh, you
Thank
got
you
your
again,
draft during.
Kristina. Oh, wow.
Nice work.
Yes. Thank you.
Nice work. Which one did you pick 1, 2, 3, or 4?
3.
3. And was that the one in the water? Was that the river one?
I can't remember. I'm still
Maybe that was
doing
number 2.
details and stuff, but this is just
Yeah, I picked
Nice.
number
Nice
2.
work.
That's great, Lydia. If you'd like, share it with us.
I got
Send it
it.
to us in an email, okay?
okay.
Yes, we'd love that.
Okay, thanks everyone. Have a
Thanks
good
you,
weekend.
everybody. Long live
Bye.
giraffes. Bye.
I
Bye.
love you, by the way.
Bye. What a cutie.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I'm gonna leave again.
Thanks, Kristina.
Thank you so much, Christina. That was awesome.
Okay, I'm going to stop.